New York, and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, the beautiful Laura Styles. Rosenberg had to run out to an assignment, some things happening with him. And in the room right now, the bro Star. What's up, Star? Step toes to the mic. You been on the radio before. Step back and brand new.
What's up, my brother?
Owner of the
How's
club
everything?
over in Brooklyn, Love Lust. How you doing today?
I'm good, man.
And who do you have with you?
My attorney, Eric Sanders.
Eric Sanders. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So we saw this story breaking the news, right, Laura Styles?
We
Where,
did.
They're shut Club Lust down.
Yes.
And what do you remember what the news story was?
Okay, so this is super vague, but I just remember reading the news story, and it was accusing, you guys were accusing a police officer of trying to ask for favors, such as generators and trips to Puerto Rico.
Correct.
And we were just curious because we've heard these stories before, and you know, we've known each other for a long time, and you know, we know people who work at Club Lust and frequent it. So I just want to know more details. I want to know your side of the story.
Well, and I think also we probably want to add in there too that I want to say one of the news stories also pointed out that they were giving you some sort of violations or some sort of code permit issues and fining you. Is that also true?
I mean, well, that's basically, I think my whole case is just a retaliation case from the beginning to now.
A retaliation against?
Versus things with NYPD.
Okay.
The precinct, right?
All right.
Because I'm not here to paint a picture like this is just the culture versus NYPD. You know, this is one precinct.
Got it.
In my command.
And
So,
what area of Brooklyn is this?
Sunset Park.
Sunset Park. And so they were giving you citations. What's the whole thing that's been happening? Club's been around how long? 5 years?
We're going on 5 years.
Going on 5 years.
In November.
So how did it all start?
It started when I opened. So when I opened, if you look at the pattern of the business, like the story of Gonzalez is he's been in the command like a year and a half. But that's why it's so much to this story, because that's one part, but I've been fighting this for 4 years. So my first, years going into owning a business, I don't know all the back end laws of what's right and what's wrong, So at first, it was Lieutenant Myers. He would just sit outside our club from beginning to end. This is the lieutenant. This isn't even like a regular patrol car. Like, he just had a vested interest in the space from the time we opened to the time we closed. He has his own parking spot outside the club.
Like, you guys gave it to him, or he took it?
It's his. He demanded. He said no one could park here. Like, that's his spot. He comes, he needs to be able to reverse right into the spot. And that's been going on.
And you guys oblige that, right?
Yeah, because we don't want,
whatever.
you don't want no problems with your precinct. Like, no one wants like problems with them. So like he fought with us over capacity issues. We spent money, we increased our capacity from 220 to 640 by building 3 new staircases, renting the property next door, which wasn't in our original lease, just to build these staircases to please him. Because he would literally sit outside and say, "You guys are over capacity." So we couldn't even do the events we wanted to do.
And this was how many years ago again?
This goes back to 4 years. For the first year and a half, this was going on.
Now, in my years in many cities, and specifically here in New York, this is a common thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where based on a club's location, based on, zoning, based on zoning changes, based on, resident shifts and real estate changes, right? Nightlife always gets pressure put on it, specifically hip-hop nightlife or anything that is bringing a large audience to a neighborhood by people who either own property and they want to change the real estate value, so they want to get certain things gone because they think it'll attract other people to move, right? Or there's something really going on that the community feels like is disturbing our way of life, or our what do they call it?
The quality of life.
Quality of life violations.
What is your relationship with the neighborhood besides the precinct?
We're amazing. The community board president is a guy named Jeremy. I'm thankful and grateful for when I got to meet with him, because it got to the point where I went in there personally and asked him. Like, I've been bleeding my story, like reaching for help. It wasn't like, oh, let's just come out and sue NYPD because I feel like it. I'm on my last leg. Like, my license got canceled. I've spoken to every politician that you could think of. I even went and I spoke to Eric Adams, the borough president.
Right.
I went, when I went to the community board, I said, hey, man, listen, I'm getting nuisance citations. I'm getting, focal point is this term of why I lost my license. I read every nightclub story, and I even read a lieutenant from another precinct speak on another club and say, well, the reason this place is a problem is because of community. Everything I read from other clubs was the community boards. So I said, hey, man, am I an issue? And he said, to be honest, since you've taken over that location, we haven't had a complaint on you in 4 years.
And this is from?
The community board, CB7.
Yes.
All right, so we received an email before this conversation from Sunset Park 2018 at gmail.com.
Okay.
It says, it has come to our attention that the alleged owner of the strip club Love Lust will be a guest on Hot 97, Ebro in the Morning. Imran Haram, that's
Jairam.
Jairam, sorry,
That's okay.
a.k.a. Star. We would like to emphasize that he will be telling lies about local precinct commander to cover up his mismanagement and criminal activities in the club. The truth is that the club is owned by Curtis Jackson, a.k.a. 50 Cent, and not Mr. Jar. The only way to cover up his misdeeds to 50 Cent is to blame somebody else. Also, his claims about Puerto Rico collection being his are false, and Fat Joe will come forward soon to confront him. We are asking that you make your own independent investigation before this interview by contacting local Sunset Park community activist Dennis Flores and community leaders Ray Acevedo and other Sunset Park leaders. These individuals not only will speak about commanding officers' credibility, but also about eyewitness accounts. And then they send us a link to thebrooklynreporter.com, Sunset Park residents organizations gather, defend 72nd Precinct cop, and then some Instagram accounts that I didn't go look at. One is Fat Joe, Puerto Rico, we're with you 1,000,000%. We'll get over this together, which I don't know what that has to do with anything. And then another link to the Brooklyn Way Presents Save Puerto Rico, which has your logo actually on this flyer to support raising and collecting materials and supplies to benefit Puerto Rico.
Did you guys ever do a fundraiser for Puerto Rico?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did it. We did it on our own. I have a promoter, Richie, who was big in the community.
And you guys were one of the drop-offs.
Yeah,
It says here.
we were the location. Like, we did it.
So why did this person email me this as if you guys?
So what I don't understand. So here's what I don't understand.
pretty entertaining. I
And
see
this is
stuff all the time.
this is great because I feel like people dig themselves a deeper hole.
Oh, yeah.
That same man, like, this is why I say people, like, stop getting involved. That same man, Dennis, that is on that email, just called somebody I know, and we have the full recording of it. Because I don't know why you guys keep doing this, saying, hi, on behalf of Deputy Inspector Gonzalez, we know you're friends with the owner. Can we meet and speak on this because it's affecting other people's families if he can make this go away? No. Why? This is what I'm saying. Like, people are doing things that are just like, leave me alone already. You guys keep digging yourself deeper holes.
Well, so this is
answer the
clear.
legal question.
Go ahead.
He doesn't own the business. The state liquor authority has already investigated that issue, and he does not have an
with
ownership
regard to
interest.
50 Cent owning.
Correct.
Got it.
That's been dealt with.
They already. That was one of the charges they tried to give me before. Like, they've tried everything you could think of.
And who's they?
From the precinct to SLA, because that's how it works. The precinct sends up these citations, violations to the SLA. So once SLA runs them, as much as it could be 40 charges, it starts to become, what's the problem here?
All right, so and once again, been in and around clubs and club business and radio and media and hip hop and and I know how a lot of communities are when it comes to young black people showing up in their expensive cars, hanging out with their friends, even if there's not a problem in sight, right? Because of our social conditioning, anytime you see young black and brown people gathering, we've been socially, and I say we facetiously because I'm not one of them, because obviously I'm doing a lot of the gathering, so I'm not afraid of them. But I say we as a greater community because that's a common theme that throughout the country. Like, this isn't even a New York City problem. You're trying to be a business owner and run a business.
Correct.
Right? You're following the rules as they were given to you. You're leasing from someone who said you could do this business at this location.
Correct.
That's correct.
You're following everything correct. Individuals in the community are causing problems for the precinct and those individuals there, right? Those are, I'm assuming, homeowners, other business owners. They're putting pressure on the precinct
you know,
in
it's
some way,
interesting.
right?
This is the first time we're hearing about this stuff until the allegations were made against the commanding officer. The bottom line is the zone is M3. There's nothing but industrial buildings there. There's no one to disrupt, so I have no idea what they're talking
So when
about.
people are leaving, what
Yeah,
about
I've been there.
And let
Yeah.
me tell you something else. Well, I actually made a motion to try to get his license reinstated. At the last part, you'll see text messages from the commanding officer said, there's no problem here. Well, then why is he out of business? And then you see Facebook posts from police officers say, well, there's no problems here, but the place need to be closed. Who's kidding who here? This is what it's all about. It's targeted. It's done all over the city. It's just he's the one that's fighting them back.
So what exactly do you want to see happen from here?
I would like SLA, State Liquor Authority, to revisit the case, because every time we've went to court, they look at the charges. If they send 16 charges, I beat 13 of them. They sustain 3. But if your precinct, like I go to every SLA meeting with my precinct, I go to like anything you could think of, I'm at the meeting, so I have the knowledge of what you're supposed to do. So the State Liquor Authority says, keep a relationship with your precinct. So I do. Every Tuesday, I send a list to the lieutenant of what artists we have. Like, they'll even tell me, you can't have this artist. You can't do.
And you follow the rules.
And I follow the rules, right? Now, at the end of the day, you have the precinct, and in the culture we're in, we have the hip-hop police, quote unquote, right? So if I'm so big in the hip-hop community, why doesn't the unit that's focused on our culture have a problem with me? And I would like...
This is like, and not to cut you off, you know, there's people who want you gone for whatever reason they want you gone, right? And they could be because they own homes. Maybe they have plans to buy this property on the cheap.
I don't think anyone in the community wants us gone. Like, those are his personal friends.
He just said that he has great relationship with the community
The community
leaders
board
and the
wrote me a
board.
letter. I have a letter
No,
from
the board may
but that's
have,
the community.
But I can tell you something
yes
from
and no.
experience.
There's might be these people might have a problem with the community board also. Like I've seen it
Yeah.
before,
Right,
where
it's
there's
politics.
residents,
Well, those are
homeowners.
actual friends of his,
of the officer.
Of the officer, like the guy Ray, and that's the thing. It's Dennis and Ray. Like, I have text messages from that one man texting me because Gonzalez will hit him to hit me. Can we go pick up the goods from your location? If you see at the time that didn't happen, that was the last straw. Look, that's why I said it's retaliation. Look at all my charges come after I don't do something.
So you're basically like, yo, y'all are ruining my business, costing me money. Y'all owe me money, part one, because I'm not doing anything wrong.
Correct.
And part two, if y'all really want me gone, then you're gonna give me a new location to run my business because I'm following the rules.
I am following the rules. Like, if you look
Am I saying it right?
You're
Like,
saying it
ultimately,
right.
that's what it
But
comes
what
down
I told
to.
Star when he first got in contact with me, this is going on all over the place. I already have 4 other cases in Flushing. I have a bunch more that are coming down the pike. This is all usually police shakedowns. Although he says the community doesn't want it that way, he's speculating, of course, but it's more complex than that. It's usually related to police shakedowns. Remember, I was a member of the police department. I know how the game is played.
Right.
What they want is for you to do something from. They'll ask for generators, water, contribution to the community affairs. All those things are illegal. You can't give money to the police. You have to give it to the police foundation. And that's what's going on here. As far as the tickets
biggest
and
gang
Fat
in New
Joe
York
and all
and all
this
that.
stuff, well, look, they can try this stuff if they want to, but they're going to fail because we have more than enough adequate evidence to prove that these asks were available. And I'm asking for a criminal investigation because it's a crime. Just like Grant and those other police officers that were on the plane, they got charged by the feds. These people should be charged as well because they're committing crimes.
And so, but I guess I think about you, right, as somebody who's just really trying to run a business, right? And obviously, I love what you're doing, right? Because it's what these people are doing, like you said, it's crime, it's dishonest, and it's retaliatory and all that. But then I start thinking about people I know that have run into these issues with police officers or dealing with, people who are part of these unions or whatever, and they end up just over the years, it doesn't stop, right? Like you continue to get picked on, because they got all day. This is what they do, is, you know what I'm saying? They cause people problems.
And it's hard to win. First, they try to bleed you to death by
That's
all
right.
these charges,
Right.
lawyer fees. Every time I go to SLA, I have to pay an attorney to represent each charge.
Yep.
Like, I've gotten more charges, I've said this before, from January to now than that building in existence of decades. Because from January to now, it's like he doesn't stop, the lieutenant. So even when I go into SLA court, giving them the benefit of the doubt, the judge just says, listen, man, like, you're a problem, because if the NYPD keeps sending all these charges, something must be wrong in their eyesight. Exactly. But in reality, the term because they can't say there was a shooting, they can't say there was prostitution, they can't say there was narcotics, they can't say somebody overdosed. Like, those are the charges that close a club, right? We're all in nightlife. You hear any club that gets closed, they have those issues. I don't have any of them. So they came up with this term focal point. But why is it a focal point? Why? Because hip-hop and the urban culture parties there? Because nothing happens. Even the judge said NYPD claims they have to circle your location every 15 minutes. Right. Why? Nothing has happened there. You made it a focal point.
And he doesn't know this part, but see, again, I'm from the police culture. That's very easy to prove. All those cars have GPS on. You claim those cars circle that area 15 minutes? Okay, give us the GPS data. It's not going to show that because they're false statements all the time.
But in the meantime, the club is closed.
Exactly.
And you're losing money on your business. Money.
Correct.
So we're asking SLA at the end of the day to relook this, because the reason why they said it was because it's a focal point by NYPD. So now we have more than enough evidence to prove why this was going on.
Now, who owns that building?
It's like a few brothers that own.
And do they own multiple buildings in that area?
They own like half the block, from what I believe.
And they love what you're doing. And
I have no problems. I spoke to him even while this has been going on.
And do they have any insight with regard to where this is coming from?
No, because if anyone was willing to reaching out for the property, they would have to contact them. And I've done right by him all 4 years I've been there. We have a great relationship. So he would have definitely been like, hey, listen, man, so-and-so what's going on. You know what I mean? Like. And
are they, like, when you're going to the club, do you drive through a residential area to get there?
No.
Not at all, right?
Right off the BQE.
It's
Make
right
a right
there.
turn, you're there.
The only concern we have now with if someone has interest is something interesting happened was the lieutenant of the precinct, Lieutenant Myers, I mean, he's the one that controls write this, write that. You know what I mean? To the guards. Like, he's very smart. He doesn't write all the tickets. He's a special ops lieutenant. He just tells the guys what to do. He wrote me a summons for first, I had a false security document, right? That my security team was fraud, which SLA found guilty, which is wrong because my security company had an investigation license, not a security license. The law states with an investigation license, you can do security work.
That's correct.
With security work, you can't do investigations license. So that was a charge that I was sustained on, which was wrong afterwards. He also gave me a ticket for lack of supervision, right? Security couldn't control nothing happened, but allegedly, right? We can't control it. Now, to cooperate with SLA and prove we're changing systems, I fired that security company. Right, just to listen.
To appease this pressure.
We're making changes.
Boom.
I fired that security company. Why does the lieutenant message him a week later? Hi, do you still work there with Star? No, Star had enough after everything's been going on, which I understand. He's trying to change the business. So no, I no longer work there. I'm actually going to try to at least get the consultant work with him because the guy was good at the end of the day. I'm just trying to do what I need to do. The lieutenant messages him back and says, I really liked working with you. I'm sorry to hear that. How about when I retire, let's open a blues club together?
Wow.
Text message.
But these are all text messages. So for even going back to Dennis and all these guys saying I'm lying, I have text messages of the inspector. We have phone calls. No, but hear me out. We have the phone. So everyone's quick to jump out the window because your friends aren't being honest. You think I'm... Ebro, how long you know me? Laura, how long you know me? Do you think I'm going to jump out the window and make allegations?
Man. It's just, man, it's a reoccurring theme, man. I've seen it even with the hip-hop cops. And, I'm cool with the NYPD. They come up here, they call. We have our debates, discussions, disagreements, whatever. And they get upset with me sometimes because I'm like, yo, y'all be playing yourselves. Y'all be playing yourselves. And we talk about it on the radio and police get mad and all that because I'm like, just because you're in a career or doing something that you may not actually want to be doing with your life right now, you're going through whatever you're going through financially because you don't make enough money, blah, 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 blah. Right. you projecting that energy on people who are trying to do things the right way is like the biggest playing yourself I've ever. But by the way, I've been doing this 30 years. This has been going on in hip hop with hip hop clubs and this music and our culture the entire time, and probably before that, right? Like where people who have this power because they have a badge and a gun or are part of a union or whatever now want to impose that on the cool kids because they was nerds in high school and nobody wanted to be their friends. So now they see people being cool in a lifestyle that they was never feeling comfortable in. Now they can go ahead and impose their will on that because it serves their ego to abuse their power that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this comes down to.
So
and they honestly don't believe that either A, you're savvy enough, B, have enough resources and savvy enough to get your story out, right? And then maintain. Right, because now, even though we having this conversation, don't mean next week the SLA, who's friends with this one, whose kids play at this, who are go to the karate camp and the summer camp and play basketball over here with this one and that one, ain't all in cahoots to be like, yo, 6 months from now, this is gonna go away. He ain't gonna have enough money to last, and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's what they bank on, and they all have relationships.
Of course.
So that's what you're up against.
And that's why what I'm saying is, again, to the SLA, to the higher ups that are hearing the story, like I get it, but if you're a lieutenant and you're saying this guy's wrong, why do you want to do business with him? Right? To the security guy. Like, what does that say enough? Like, it goes to show that he just wants me out. They just want me out. Everything that they've written, like, even when I got my first set of charges.
You fired any strippers lately?
Now, to be honest, no.
You ain't fired none of the strippers?
That would go back and make.
There's always a woman in there. There's always a dude and a woman in there somewhere. One of them strippers is probably cool with one of these cops on the low.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? After the club, they was going out to brunch or something.
Oh my God.
You cut her off. Now he mad. He can't see his little side boo at the spot no more on the Thursday night joint. Like there's always something in there.
The least of our.
I mean, that's a good answer, but let me run with what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
But just remember, according to the state liquor authority and the law, it's not a strip club. It's a bikini bar.
Right.
No
that's true because they don't get naked in there.
There's no nudity.
There's no nudity.
There's no nudity at all. So even the allegation of the strip club,
it's not a strip club.
It's not a strip club.
It's definitely not a strip club.
It's not a strip club. I have 0 champagne rooms, and there's no nudity.
Facts. And even when I go there, I just sit at the bar. I'm not giving none of them girls none of my money. Star always makes fun of me. I'm like, yo, fam, I don't want none of y'all dancing for me. Give me a bucket of Coronas. Let's keep it pushing.
I think it's just hard. I mean, like, even like look at our community. You had the harassment, like I said, doesn't just start from Gonzalez, right? Like 6 months ago, whenever this Puerto Rico thing happened. At the end of the day, I feel like after I didn't comply with that, he just let loose, right? With Myers, like, go ahead, do whatever you want.
But let me get this straight. So you have the drop-off site for the Puerto Rico relief, right?
Yeah, we did a block party.
Okay, so then you have all these you collect all these amazing things for Puerto Rico. On top of that, you were asked for more. You were asked for these generators and these trips.
So we did that out of good faith with the neighborhood.
The collection.
A lot of people from the community. I wish, like, I know there was a guy named Casper involved. There was, like, the bike clubs. There was, like, Sunset got together. Like, Richie, Red, like, these guys got together, brought the community together. Even when they did it, I believe, those guys spoke to people. Like, I'm only speaking facts when I have text messages on. Everything else I will go out to say was what I was told. They were even approached by those guys, Dennis and the other guys, like, oh, let us do it. Give us this so we could get the look for it. They're like, we don't need you guys. We're really doing it for the right reason.
There you go. Now somebody in their feelings.
So now they did the parade. They raised it. I have a 5,000 square foot garage that was filled. So we called Joe. Actually, we reached out to Joe. Like, listen, man, get these good. I don't even know what to do with all of this at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
So he sent 8 tractor trailers to come and help get the goods out. You know what I mean? And I will clear. Joe did not talk to Gonzalez. I was asked, and I asked.
So let me ask you something else. If your business wasn't in this area, in this industrial area, what business could or would be in this commercial area? What other business types of businesses are there, or could there be if you weren't there?
On the block, there's chocolate factories. There's a mechanic shop.
Okay, so auto factory.
There's a beer garden a couple of doors down.
So a beer garden just opened.
They drink and walk around, have no problems.
Wait, hold up now. Now we getting
We
somewhere.
got video of that
now
too.
we getting somewhere.
So now look.
This is now we're
We're getting
talking.
into-
Now
so
we
we're
getting. So
getting
who
into
owns
it.
the beer garden?
What do you
Person is
name
Caucasian,
wise?
probably,
Yeah.
because you
A
see the
non-brown,
video.
a non-person of color.
Accurate.
That's accurate.
So if Lust and Love are out the way, now other people who are not in hip hop, let's just put it that way, or not a person of color may feel more comfortable going to the beer garden over
Yeah.
there.
And what we have videos of to prove is one of the citations they cite me for is, let's say a guy walks out the club in the winter. We can't search you walking out with a bottle in his coat. Soon, like they sit directly across the street from the club, like me to you. You can see clearly everything going on. So the guy comes outside with a bottle. They write it up to SLA as I'm serving liquor off premise. That's the charge they give me, right? The guy will be like, I don't know. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that. You know, I apologize. Now the beer garden down the street, they're walking around all the way in front of my location with open beers, just having neighborhood conversations. They don't have one citation. And this happens every day.
Well, I'd love to know who owns the beer garden. I'd also propose that, you know, if you're not there, they can open up other types of businesses there
Correct.
that make everybody a little bit more comfortable.
Correct.
So that also is probably contributing to this pressure. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where I was going. You know, the people you're leasing from, I didn't know there would be another beer garden there, but the people you're leasing from, they're like, look, we love you, you pay your lease. You know, we have this space. It probably would have gone unused. Thus, we would have had to sell it
Right.
on the cheap, and somebody else would have came in this prime location right off the BQE and been able to open up a business and get it from us. You're keeping the people leasing it to you rocking, but now come to find out there's a beer garden down the street. You in the way of their beer garden being prosperous because you have a bunch of young hip-hop people of color in their Lambos, Ferraris, and all that, which, as I said in the beginning of this conversation, we are socially conditioned to be afraid of that image. You know what I'm saying? So there's people who are probably like, yo, I would come to the beer garden, but, you know, that other crowd is they're a little wild. And you're like, they ain't wild, they having fun just like y'all. But because they
Exactly.
black and brown,
Exactly.
you're looking at them
so
as
that's
wild.
why we're a focal point.
Right.
Because of the skin color. There's nothing else that happens to be like, oh yeah. And I would take it on the chin. I would not fight. God forbid somebody got murdered. God forbid, you know, there was prostitution.
Something real terrible.
Something real I would understand. I've been in nightlife since 17 years old. That's how I started. I've known why clubs have closed down. I know why clubs stay open. Now you pull up, if we start going through all these clubs that have overdoses and deaths,
Crazy.
they're open. They're still open to this day. But I realize
But they don't play rap music.
Even some of them do though. In the city, like the meatpacking area, they do have them.
Yeah, but they also play
Limited,
that.
that's right.
Yeah, they mix
That's right.
they mix it up. But then I realized I can't beat NYPD. Like as much charges they're sending up to I'll never win unless it got to this point. So now we're here. It's like, listen, SLA, hear us out. Revisit this on what we're saying. We have the proof of everything that happened, and we want change. That's all we want, you know? Like, how could you run a business when you have somebody like French Montana in your club at 421? This is an accurate story. 421, there's no music on, there's no dancers out. The club is cleared. You know, Zach French, these are friends of mine. These aren't just, oh, let me book these acts, right? The law states after 4:30, you can no longer serve alcohol, right? We're not partying. There's no money there. They're just sitting down in the section. Lights are on. The Lieutenant Myers walks in the club at 4:21 around that time. He's just standing around watching everyone. We're like, okay, we're not doing
Waiting
nothing.
for 4:30.
French has a bottle of Ciroc in his hand. Had it from the time he came up. He's drinking it to himself. At 4:31, he wrote me a ticket for serving after.
That's not serving.
I'm not serving. SLA, we did beat the charge, but we had the camera footage to show everything. But I had to go pay a lawyer. I had to go.
Yeah.
That is
Right.
blatant harassment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like, you get what I mean?
They want you gone, son.
Mm-hmm.
They want you gone, son. You bringing these rappers and these boxers and these athletes over here.
If it happens at the
We
Barclays
trying to
Center, it's coming
gentrify
down to
Brooklyn.
lust.
Didn't you get the memo?
Well, the other part that we really didn't talk about, that's a serious part, is the patrons now. Because remember, while they're trying to put them out of business, they're harassing the patrons. They're stopping and frisking them. They're arresting them, giving them summonses, all this kind of nonsense that has nothing to do with no legal basis. And those people aren't suing. I don't even think they understand that their rights have even been violated.
Well, it's a lot, right? It's a lot when you get these summonses and you're like, am I gonna just pay this thing, or am I gonna get a lawyer? You know what I mean? Like even what you're going through. A, can people take the time off work to deal with half of this stuff? B, do they have the money to go get representation? And like it's a lot. Sometimes you would rather just be like, yo, man, here,
Leave
get
it
out
alone.
of my face.
We went
Leave it
into
alone.
court. The SLA lawyer was like, oh, they from the precinct's notes, they had 8 DUIs come out this location. There's Love and Lust. There's the Beer Garden. There's bars all around the area, 3rd Ave and 2nd Avenue. How do you know these people came from Love and Lust? Is it because they're black or they're like? How do you know that?
But how can you control who's driving and who's not?
You can't. Like the things
not your
that they
responsibility.
put
That's not his
on
responsibility,
me are
correct.
insane. But how do you know? Even better yet,
Right,
Lord,
right,
that they came
I
from
appreciate you
there.
fighting this fight, man.
And
I
you know,
think
It's a great precedent too. I'm glad we're having this conversation, but it is, I mean, for anybody listening and watching this, you got to know, in New York City, and we talk about it all the time, when they be changing the name of these neighborhoods, Spa High, and what is it?
Sobro.
East Williamsburg, which is Bushwick, and Sobro.
over in
and
the
what's-
Bronx and everything.
What's the
It's-
other one? Oh, they got another one.
Stuyvesant Heights.
Stuyvesant Heights.
Yeah.
It's
That is
Bed-Stuy, bro.
AKA the other name
Yeah.
makes people think of black people. We changing the name so people don't think about y'all. It's that modern day Jim Crow.
Yep.
It's the new Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, when they can raise the property value if it's not associated with people of color.
Right.
They can change things when it's not associated with us. That's happening real time.
They even
Real
changed
time.
zip codes too.
Wait, what?
They even changed zip codes too.
Say word.
All depends on the areas.
I've been
Wow.
missing that one because I usually
didn't know that
I
one
didn't
either.
I didn't catch that one. Yeah,
You
so
see
it's-
that in Queens too. You'll see like Fresh Meadows and Flushing. You go, wait a minute, but it has the same zip code. See, there's all kinds of game. But you got to go back in history, look at, if you have read anything and your listeners, read Dred Scott. The Dred Scott decision back in circa 1845, 1857 decision, you'll understand all of this stuff. They're saying we don't have to respect your rights. And it still goes on today. And that's what he's dealing with right now. He's dealing with they don't respect his right to be a business owner. There's not one charge you could find anywhere that he's engaged in illegitimate business practices. Matter of fact, when you read the email, it reminded me of the story that News 12 did. They said, well, we have some people out here that are going to rally for the Deputy Inspector Gonzalez, and they said it's 450 violation. I bust out laughing. I said, really? That's laughable to me because, first of all, he's never been served. I guess I had to bring another claim. There's no such thing. He doesn't have 450 claims. All the claims he has, he's beat all of them except for very minor claims.
They're taking the C summons from 2nd Ave, 3rd Ave on. Like the club is not getting the tickets. They're not coming in and saying, "Hey Star, hey, you know Frank, who's my manager." These
I
are
know
tickets
y'all
for
not
the
gonna say it,
club."
but they racist, B.
100%.
That's what it is.
I mean,
it's,
and-
it's
and it's
racism. I know y'all don't want to say it because I know y'all got your court case and it makes it
You
more
didn't do
about.
your research on me. I do say things like that all the time.
Oh, well, I mean, you know.
Oh, no, they're racist. They are racist.
Yeah.
I said that from the beginning. Race is a basis. He's being gentle. I'm being gentle because he's being gentle. But basically, they're trying to put him out of business. Does have nothing to do with retaliation. It's absolutely racially
racism.
based. They did it in 109. They're doing it in 102. They're doing it in 106 in South Jamaica with the Guyanese clubs over there. That few had to see over there. They're doing it right in the 7-2.
I'm Guyanese too, so you know,
Well,
shout
that's
out
my
to them.
point. Every one of these clubs I see it happen to that I've dealt with, the owners, stakeholders, patrons, all of color. I've never seen it done to a white club, and I've seen a whole lot of this. In this area, is about 1,000 online on-premises, the on-premise licenses. He's the only one being forced against. How's
There's
that?
309, I believe, in Sunset Park. How are you, the lieutenant, able to sit across my street every night?
But like I keep telling
Well, 'cause
Star,
you black.
he's focusing on the lieutenant. I keep telling him the lieutenant would not be doing this if the command officer didn't allow it. The command officer wouldn't do it unless the borough chief allows it. See, I know the police culture, and I keep trying to explain to him.
And so
this
who's
is going
talking?
up.
So and that's what I like to talk about. Who's putting the pressure on the borough chief?
Remember, this is the same command area where what? There was all these arrests made by the feds. The command officer of the 7-2 is arrested. Matter of fact, he's still facing charges right now.
Right now.
So that whole Brooklyn South area was always controlled with corruption related to Jewish people. And that's what this is all about. And if you look at the buildings in Sunset Park, most of those buildings and warehouses, Jewish owners. That's what it boils down to. He's being modest. I've been around. I've seen this stuff. I've seen the whole circle. And the bottom line is that's what the problem is here. They don't want them there, period. Even if Gonzalez wasn't there, it would be someone else doing the same thing. Because when it was Jaguars 3, and it's in my paper, so I could talk about it legally, they had no problems. Jaguar 3 had all sorts of problems. Well, that was another bikini bar.
Oh, Jaguar. Yeah, I remember Jaguar.
3.
Okay,
they
yeah.
had all kinds of problems there. And you know what happened? They stayed in business until they got tired of it. He's in business. As soon as he took over, he's got all these problems. Same building, same location. The police can't tell you to modify your building. Matter of fact, they ain't even qualified to tell you that. They can't even tell you to shut down. There's a court case that says the police can't go in and shut you down because of due process violation. But they do it to people because
and then they spoil it where you don't even want it no more. Now,
it gives you a feeling like even like
what am I fighting for? You know what I mean? I'll just move my
business. And I'm
business.
doing everything right. It was like, how do you feel when when I was saying like if SLA just goes back and look at the history of when my charges come in, when we first opened, we were told by the lieutenant through a friend. He told somebody, tell them if they don't open on Christmas. He didn't want us on Christmas because he wanted, I guess, the night off. And if we were open, we're the biggest ticket in the community.
Christmas is a big night.
So we closed.
Big night.
But Ebro, out of respect to him, we closed the first time. Like, listen, man, we just want to be on good terms. We'll bite the bullet. I closed. March came. He said if they don't close, I'll send them charges to SLA. Like, these are like threats. March came of that year. He still sent up things to SLA. We were like, well, we cooperated with you. So next Christmas comes. We're like, we're not closing this year. We lost anyway. We might as well make the money. January, second week of January, a pile of charges to SLA because we didn't. And before that, there was a security company that I fired.
Who's on the board at SLA? How do they even watch this stuff happen?
That's how I feel. SLA, what I'm asking for is to look, because I'm obviously a voice.
What does SLA stand for?
State Liquor Authority.
State Liquor Authority. And they're here in New York City?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The office, I know the courtroom, because I go there so much, is in Harlem.
They're up in Albany, and they have
State
zones.
Liquor
Zone 1 is in
Authority.
Harlem.
President. See who the boss is.
The chairman, he's up in Albany, 80 South Swan Street.
Vincent Bradley.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. He's the
Chairman of the State Liquor Authority. Let's find out about Vincent Bradley. And when I do this, everybody gets nervous, right? Because everybody will be like, yo, Ebro, leave it alone, man. You don't know these people, man. They're going to mess with you, man. There he is, Vincent Bradley.
When it hit the papers,
Yeah.
was that new to you when you saw all this covered in the papers? Or how did the story get released to the press?
The story once I contacted my attorney, it
Right.
got to a point where I knew I've spoken to every politician. I went to the command, like SLA meeting, say, speak, go to your command. It's like you're supposed to get help from the precinct,
Right.
and everything I was getting was being turned against me. I had a meeting with the sergeant, the lieutenant, and the inspector in February, just to get on the same page, right? All right, no problem. We're all on the same page. It's cool. You know what I mean? The week later, I get charges.
Oh, well, here we go. Hunter College, Tuesday, June 12th. Join us for a conversation with State Liquor Authority Chairman Vincent G. Bradley.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should
Should
show up
attend.
and have a convo with Vincent Bradley. Hunter College, 615 West Building, right here on Park Avenue.
Because how many
The event
owners-
category, Street Life Committee.
Interesting.
Sounds like we're welcome.
Wow, this is so.
But Laura, my
it's so
thing is,
horrible
like,
to
what
hear.
if I didn't have the relationships
No,
like
I
you
know.
guys? What about all the owners that are going through this that don't have a voice?
Of course.
Like
Like
my-
you said, you've seen it over and over. You've seen people give
You know
up
how
and
many
get shut
owners
down.
and messages have reached out to me, and it's at this point, oh yeah, because of you being racist or biased to whatever. It's not about Star. You know how many messing my busboys, cameramen, chefs, security, waitresses, bartenders.
Wow, did you guys know that the community board, New York City, had a Street Life Committee? Did you know this?
I didn't know that.
No.
Never heard of this. I'm learning. We all learning today. Y'all learning? Go.
The Hip Hop Police.
No, this is a Street Life Committee. This is different. Street Life Committee Board reviews plans for sidewalk cafes and liquor license application. The board then makes recommendations to the Department of Consumer Affairs and the New York State Liquor Authority with regard to these applications. This committee meets on the first Tuesday of each month. The chair is Abraham Salcedo, Matt Bondi, Lorraine Brown, Jacqueline Ludorf, and Kaz Spagnoletti. But yeah, June 12th. They have a meeting June 5th of the Street Life Committee. I think you should be at that meeting. I think the Street Life Committee, I think, and Vincent, they need to know what's going on. Especially what you're saying, right? Like that's what, if I'm you, I get with the people having a similar problem in a different section of town and it all look the same, and we start having a larger conversation.
That's coming.
Yeah.
It's important.
Because you're only gonna be your own. If you're getting picked on, you gotta come together.
And that's what.
Because otherwise they're gonna separate you, and you ain't gonna know what the right hand ain't gonna know what the left hand is
it's gonna
doing.
become the whole divide and conquer concept.
Right.
And a lot of these owners don't have, like I was telling Laura, they don't have a voice. They can't be like Ebro. You know what I mean? They can't reach out to
And they
these
can't come
people.
out and straight up tell you that what you're doing is undesirable to the greater picture of what we want nightlife to be in New York City. Because that's a change too.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've been involved in nightlife since 17, right? I've been in New York City for the last 16 years. There's no big clubs. Like, where's the big New York club? Like even people that come from out of town, it's like, yo, where do people hang out? Nah, it's restaurants, it's little bars, it's hipster nightlife, you know, little, lots of beer gardens. Those are good, you know, hanging out,
small
standing
club
around
lounges,
drinking. But there's no, like, boom,
Club.
the DJ, there's no Palladiums, there's no of these big clubs, which may go back to a greater problem of the people who got in trouble with the Studio 54s and, the, you know, et cetera, so they don't want that big club life where people party until 6 in the morning because it leads to people leaving the club drunk at 4 a.m. and between 4 and 6 is drinking all of those things. But say it.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, say it. That's the problem. And we talk about this a lot on this show where, you know, in America, we have a problem because people don't say what they mean.
Right.
Say what you mean. Go ahead, say it. And the reason why is because when they say what they mean, people go, you're a racist, though.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that heat. But if you're a racist, be a racist. At least we know where you stand.
Yeah, because it's not like, Laura, you believe they wrote a ticket for me for a woman allegedly defecated on herself outside while waiting for a cab? And they sent that up to SLA because their purpose to that is to say, oh, I was over serving. How do you know alcohol is why she defecated on herself?
Right.
And then
Especially the way these girls is out here taking laxatives and all that, trying to lose weight. She probably took that laxative trying to keep her tummy flat. I was at tummy flat tea. At tummy flat tea, she didn't know it was gonna stay her sister that long doodle on herself.
I mean, all these citations that you get are ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I get the charge. I call it because when it comes in from SLA, it doesn't say what the charge is.
Right.
So I called the lieutenant like, hey, did something happen at the club that I don't know about? Like, what charge? Like,
It's that flat tummy tea, son, doodle on herself.
He said, oh, yeah, let me check my book. My officer told me he seen a woman laying down, waiting for a cab that she defecated on herself. So I said, you sent that up to SLA? He's like, yeah, if something goes bad at the club, I'm going to let them know. Did you blood test her to even see if she had alcohol in her system?
Right.
They're not qualified.
But
to
now
give
I
that
got to
kind
go
of
to
answer.
SLA and fight this one charge
Well,
and
they
pay an
meet.
attorney.
Go to the street committee. They meet every Tuesday, son. Every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. Street life. Street life.
It's
Check 'em out.
crazy.
Yo, Star, thank you for coming with the convo
appreciate
and
you.
keep us updated, sir. It was
Thank you.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I would love to
Nice to
see
meet
some sort of collective conversation around what it is you're pointing out that's taking place because, yeah, you know, where black and brown people is dancing and having a good time, there's very few places of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, everybody has these clubs now that they want to play our music and all that, but they don't want to let us in the club, too. That's a whole other thing happening in the city, too. And they put all these roadblocks to avoid us from coming and having a good time.
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
It's a real thing.
And did you even see the Facebook allegate and that's why I want to say I'm not going against NYPD as a whole because there is good cops out there. There's a private Facebook chat amongst the 72. It's a group that only 72 precinct officers.
Oh, they have a lot of these, though.
Yeah, former or previous officers or
Right.
current officers. And there's a chat, and it's when I realized I can't win unless there's change. Officers are speaking about Love and Lust location, and they're saying, oh, this is after the paper came out. If he thought stopping us was gonna save him, wait till we send Vice and Narco on him. Like, these are you get what I mean? From officers. And another officer was like, this is enough, man. Like, you got to know what's going on at this point. You're not going to beat them unless we take stands like this, that the mayor's office gets involved, because that's the higher up. Like, who else is going to police the police? And then after we put that
Well,
up.
they just had a thing in the newspaper day before yesterday about them and their whole fraudulent investigative, corruption issues of them saying that they have their own internal affairs and internal investigation corruption thing going on right now.
Amongst
a dude
them.
that used to be involved came out and was like, yo, when I was involved, it was nasty.
Well, like I was telling Star, that I do have a case involving an undercover that was in internal affairs that was policing the karaoke bars. I don't know if you remember the Flushing corruption scandal where the cops were accusing shaking people down. It's about 2 years ago. And they were accused of stealing almost $1 million in cash. But anyway, he was the undercover, and he says, listen, they planted drugs in this place, so now I have him as a witness against them. And he said up to 100 cops are corrupt.
Well, that's what they're going to do to you.
And how they came out and said Fifth threatened them, get the strap was trademarked, right? So that was
y'all saw what I said. When I got on the radio, I don't know if y'all saw it. I was like, fam, if y'all really trying to have a real good relationship with the quote unquote community, putting out a story talking about 50 Cent is threatening police ain't over some
ridiculous.
IG joke.
But then look,
That's not you're not helping me. Get us
so they're
on
saying he
same page.
threatened them. Now one of a family members from those Facebook officers messaged me threatening me, saying take this down now, or it was like there was or like if you know what's good for you, or if you don't want something to happen to you, quote, you know what I mean? And I have it. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone's saying allegedly Star did this, Star had everything I'm speaking about is either recorded, text message.
So you taking this all away? How much money you want?
I have my attorney here.
We're open. The last time I took the city to trial was $15 million. They're still trying to get out of it now.
And they'll drag that payment out too. That's the other part.
Honestly
That's
won't.
okay with 9% interest. Fine, but they had to put up a bond, so they can do it all they want. But they had to put up a bond.
But end of the day, I really do. I want the club open. And so SLA can reinstate this today if they wanted to.
Oh, sure.
And
they
look
can.
back and let's
You gotta
feedback
go meet
all
with the street life.
and feedback all these employees that work there. It's
You
bigger
going to
than
the
me.
street life meeting to meet Vincent and the rest of the team? You gotta go meet Vincent. What's up?
I'm gonna invite you
Vincent,
too.
what's
See-
going
see-
on?
see
I
if
don't
you-
want no clubs. I don't run no clubs. They don't want me there because I'm gonna be like, yo, fam, you racist, son. Y'all moving foul. But I don't plan on opening up a restaurant or business, so they don't hold no authority over me.
Understood.
There it is. Yo, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you though.
Love.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.